Are you a new D&D player wondering what you need to get started in the game?
Today, we're talking about the essential items every new D&D group needs. Hi nerds, I'm Monty Martin.
And I'm Kelly McLaughlin.
And we are the Dungeon Dudes. Today on the show, we're going to be covering the essential items that every Dungeons & Dragons group needs just to get started playing.
The great thing about this is you actually don't need to spend that much money. You can find most of these items at your local game store or on Amazon.
Again, these are just the core items that you need to play, like paper, dice, rulebooks, and even a few cool things like battle maps and miniatures. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's just dive right in.
The first thing you're going to need to get started with Dungeons & Dragons is friends.
Yes. You need friends. You need people to play Dungeons & Dragons with, even if it's just one other person.
Even if it's just one other person, your pet cat who knows how to roll dice for some reason, anything.
D&D is a social game, so you will need a group of people to play with. We've actually compiled a whole video talking just about this topic, so we're not going to touch on it too much right now. Let's get into the real things we need.
Yeah, so the first thing that you're going to want to get are dice. They're very important, and there's a few different types of dice you can get. Most local game stores will have Chessex dice, which comes with all of the different types of dice that you would need to play Dungeons & Dragons.
They're available in a huge range of colors and styles. The core thing is making sure that you have one or two 20-sided dice, a handful of 6-sided dice, and a few of the other kinds of the different various shapes. You'll only ever need one D12. I promise you that. If you get a lot of D12s, they're going to cry themselves to sleep. Because you'll never use them.
Yeah.
Unless you play a barbarian.
Unless you play a barbarian.
Yeah. So once you've got a giant collection of dice, you might want to just have a communal bag of them to share with your entire group of people. There's actually a pound of dice that Chessex makes that you can get online too, so that your entire group can have some dice.
This also means that if you have a DM that's been playing for a while and has collected a large quantity of dice, you may not even need to buy dice if you just want to sit in on a game and see what it's like.
Now, once you're starting into the game, you will need the rules for Dungeons & Dragons themselves. There's a lot of different ways to acquire these, whether you're going to go for the core rulebooks themselves, the Dungeons & Dragons starter set, but whether you decide to get the starter set, the player's handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual, one thing to keep in mind is that the basic rules for D&D are available online for free as well. If you're having trouble deciding which source of rules is the best one for you, you'll want to check out our video where we compare the player's handbook versus the starter set.
Now, another thing you're going to need is, to keep track of everything you're doing, paper.
Lots of it.
Lots of paper. That includes printouts of the character sheet as well.
There's lots of different character sheets designs that are available online that you can print off as PDFs through the D&D website and other sources. I also recommend having lots and lots of scrap paper. I really like using graph paper, so get a big stack of it. Now, there are alternatives to this. It's become really popular to use mobile phones and apps to track your character sheets, to track your notes, and to even use as die rollers.
Yeah, but the thing that you want to be aware of is that sometimes having a bunch of people with phones at the table can be a distraction. It can take away from the game. I find it a lot nicer to actually be able to write my things out, keep track of it all on paper. Feels a little bit more natural.
Yeah, it really sucks when you're running the game and your players are across the table from you on Facebook. So put the phones away and use a piece of paper.
Yeah. Now, how are we going to keep track of that? Well, we're going to need a bunch of other stuff here, like pencils, erasers,
and the like. But the core of this, once you have all of these things, you might want to get a battle mat as well to represent combat and dungeons and other environments. We recommend the Chessex battle mat. It's not necessary to have a battle mat. You can run everything in your imagination or on the paper, but a battle mat makes a lot of things easier. You'll want to get miniatures to go with this as well. You can use tokens or pieces of paper or coins or beads, but you can get a really nice set of miniatures to represent your player characters in a box set that's non-random, or you can get the unpainted miniatures and paint them yourself. Companies like Games Workshop and Reaper Miniatures make tons of these, and you can find the perfect figure for your hero as well.
Now, keep in mind that painting minis is an entire hobby of itself, so just be aware of that if you are going to get unpainted minis, there's going to be a lot more work involved.
Now, the Chessex battle mats are really nice. They're high quality, and they last forever. I've had mine for about 20 years, although it is pretty beat up and stained now. The thing to bear in mind is that it is a wet erase map, so make sure that you get Steadlighter, Lumacolor, wet erase markers. Don't use a Sharpie on it, don't use Crayola markers, and don't use dry erase markers on it. So this is our core kit.
So these are all the things that we think that you need to get started with Dungeons and Dragons.
It doesn't even take that much money. All you really need are a few sets of dice, pens and paper and pencils, and the rules, which you can get in a $20 starter set or even online for free.
And the most important thing you're going to need is at least one friend.
Yeah, your cat cannot play D&D.
We lied about the cat. I'm sorry. If you want advice on how to find a group to play Dungeons and Dragons with, you can check out our video over here.
Yeah, and if you're still not sure if the starter set or the player's handbook is right for you, check out our video here.
If you wanted to purchase any of the items we talked about in today's episode, we have Amazon links below.
And you can become a patron right down here.
Don't forget to subscribe.
And we'll see you next time in the dungeon.